Hi and welcome to a new episode of my channel. Today I'm gonna talk about the first build steps I did on my Multiplex Funracer. There are not a lot of steps, but some modifications, or one important modification I did, and I just wanna go through the few build steps I did so far. So let's start with the fuselage. The foam is in pretty nice quality, but you have some edges like on the nose or also on some rudders and all around on the fuselage and the wings, which have not so nice edges. So I had to sand some edges to make the finish look nice. That's a little step, but in my opinion important, that you have a nice look at the end of the build. Then let's have a look at the elevator. The elevator is one of the few parts you have to glue onto the fuselage. There is one important thing: when you glue it in, you just have to slide it in from one side and glue it with CA glue to the fuselage. And what happens if you just put it in, the right side is hanging down and the left side of the elevator is far too upwards, so it's bent right side down in comparison to the main wing. And what I had to do is to pull up the right side and use some CA glue filler to fill up the gap which was between the wing and the elevator. And with this granulated filler you can fill up these gaps. Because I had to pull to put it in the right position, there was a gap to fill up with this filler, so I used this filler to fill up the gap, then used the CA glue, and like this I was able to put the elevator in pretty exact right position. It's not absolutely perfect, but it's way better than what you get when you just glue it in without any corrections. So it was a little disappointment in the construction of the plane, but you can correct it. Just make sure to check the angle of your elevator when you put it in and glue it onto the fuselage, and if needed, correct the angle that your plane looks nice at the end of the build. Then let's have a look at the most important modification I did. These are the wingtips, and what I did is I cut it down the original wing, each side at around 3 centimeters, and I added a 1.5 millimeter carbon plate on each side. The reason why I did this is that I want to reach the look of a real Reno air racer, these cut down wing designs, and I wanted to reach this look, and I think it went out pretty well. It was some work, and as you can see, all the carbon dust is now still on the wing, but that will be gone after all the paint job is done. To glue the carbon onto the wing, I used the same CA glue I used for the whole plane to glue the foam parts. This is SAP foam safe CA. One thing you have to know about this glue: it's pretty slow for a CA glue. So think about this: it takes some time, a few minutes to dry, not like Saki, which is recommended from Multiplex. Saki dries way more quick. This one is a pretty slow CA. So I used this one. I prepared the carbon, sanded it also where I have to glue it onto the wing, so it helps to get good grip for the glue, and put it on the wing and did the final shape of the carbon wingtip just to get it a smooth look, and the wing looks pretty clean like this. It also helps to reinforce the wingtip because of the carbon part at the edge of the wing. The final wingspan with this wingspan reduction I did on the wingtips is at around 87 centimeters, so I reduced it around 5.5 centimeters. Stock wingspan is 92.5 centimeters, so I don't think that this will affect the flight characteristics, but it's just about the look. What you also have to glue onto the rudder is this small piece of foam. This is not mounted just because you need to slide in your elevator from the side into the fuselage. So if this part is already built into the rudder, you cannot slide in your elevator from the side. So this small part has also been glued into the rudder to finish the plane. Then I sanded all the surface with 800 grade sandpaper, and what I also removed in this step is all these strange little bumps you can see here, which are in the wing and in the fuselage because of the production of the foam of the factory process, and I just grinded them. You can see just the color, but it's smooth when you go over with the finger after grinding, so that just makes the finish also a little nicer if you remove all these things here. Then let's have a look inside the fuselage. There are just two things I already did. I changed the multiplex stock connector to these 4mm bullet plugs I use on all my planes. I cannot use the multiplex connector because I don't have any connectors like these on my batteries, so I always change to 4.0mm bullet plugs. Then I put in the RC receiver just to test all the servos and the ESC and the motor, so the whole electronic runs like it should, so everything is fine so far. I think I have to reduce all the rudder angles. If you go with 100% of angle or servo range, then I think you have too much rudder movement. On the lower side of the plane there are three plastic parts. One is on the fuselage to protect the fuselage during landings, and the two protection parts which protect the aileron servos. I also sanded these, also the edge of this part, because there were some glue bubbles on the edge of this part that didn't look really nice, so I sanded all down just to make sure the color has maximum grip on the surface and the finish will look as good as possible. This is already all about the build steps. The plane would be able to fly like this, but I will finish the paint job before I go for a test flight. So next steps will be all the paint job and the stickering. So thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. Have a good time. Happy flying. Bye bye.